Hey guys, I'm Mustached here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the video game Subnautica. If you end up enjoying this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers, second and third to my Patreon and PayPal where you can help support me and my channel directly, and fourth to my Discord server, where you can join, collab, and chill and do all that cool stuff, and chilling will be reminded at the end of the review. With all that out of the way, let's get into the video game of Subnautica. Now, typically when I do a video game, I usually spread it out between the story and gameplay. Now, in terms of this game, which was hashtag sponsored via my Patreon supporter, once again, thank you, and I continue to hope that I will get hopefully more Patreon supporters, as I just tried to play Baldur's Gate 3 on my computer. It did not run well. I need something better to run my games on in terms of streaming on Twitch. It's a whole other story, but for the purposes of getting back on track, with Subnautica, its story delves with the main character being being the guy who ends up in this oceanic planet based off of a Aurora crash ship. You are sort of potted away, a bit distanced away from the initial ship, and from there it is up to you as the player to essentially go deep sea diving and collect various logs from previous people who have come before you or were alongside you, maybe and perhaps crashed in some other significant way. And the immediate downside of a story like this really does come down to pacing and stretching it alongside a solid story. If you have seen the parts that I have posted of this game, you'll see that there are great deals of time dealt with just trying to figure out stuff more on the gameplay side of things, only to get updates on the story, and those updates only seemingly get you like halfway through the story. And obviously that's not good at all. That's half of the work. Literally. So, it truly is baffling that they decided to start to go in on a story only to half bake it and half deliver on a story at all in this type of game. So, with that, I guess the best score to give a half story is a 5 out of 10, naturally. The gameplay serves as a survival game where you pick up items and craft them, and it's all about crafting the items you need to essentially build your way out. And you have to dive deeper and deeper, which means you have to find more and more materials. However, the finding said materials does come across as particularly harder and harder as you sort of immerse yourself into the water. And it feels even more empty despite it being rather vast but small, that being the map of the water area in this game. Furthermore, the upgrades just don't seem to do enough in terms of getting you to swim faster in particular. I felt like the diving aspect was fine in terms of how long you could dive for, but how fast you could dive definitely seemed a little bit on the slower side, even with quote-unquote faster, fins. With that and resource management only becoming harder, the level of escalation always felt out of reach. Like there was this upper echelon of things I just couldn't quite figure out despite being helped along the way. With that being said, One thing I will say is that the aspect of these types of games isn't something I'm necessarily against, but I do think that there needed to be a better guidance system in terms of being able to, in particular, if you're like really desperate to find a particular item, like having some way of navigating a better system of being able to find those particular items. Especially the early on items, I feel like that's a no-brainer. And even if you are going to challenge the player by a degree, I feel like there can still be some level of assistance. And just the level of upgrading, I think they could have just did like half and half instead of like 3 or 4 upgrades. And by the way, if you get your vehicle destroyed, on top of that, the reset is put in motion, which means your upgrades are actually only temporary, which only makes the upgrading almost seemingly very annoying, if not one of the most annoying aspects of this game. So that is definitely one of the initial things that I would definitely say that needed to be fixed, is that once you grab an upgrade, that the upgrade should be permanent despite you building a new a device that allows you to swim faster, whether that be the little floaty device or the one that, not the cyclone, but the other one that carries you around. Anyway, with all that being said, I think that the gameplay rather, sticks to a rather low score, and I feel like a lot of this could have easily been upgraded with more compelling story that could stretch along the entire game, as well as just having a little bit more on surface, as well as making the water aspects more distinct, while having even easier times being able to mark, a location, for example. I think those few elements that I've listed are just a few things that I can think off the top of my head that could really, really substantially fix a lot of the issues with this game. I know it does have a sequel, so I would assume that some of these may have even been addressed, very much so, but obviously not here in this game. With that said, I have, if it is no surprise, I have not officially beaten the game in an official regard. I did not reach a credit sequence. However, I can safely say, based off of the cutscene I've seen and what it takes to get from point A to point B, I don't think there's a substantial level of difference from the point I got to versus the end credit sequence. So I think it's safe to say that I don't think that the end of the game could even possibly save this game from even a story or gameplay point of view. And with that, that is my full review of Subnautica, and if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly, and fourth to my Discord server. Bye-bye.